Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopijana Balabha Girivardhari. Gopijana Balabha Girivardhari. Gopijana Balabha Girivardhari. Gopijana Balabha Jasodhanandana Brajajanandana Jasodhanandana Brajajanandana Jajamunatira Vanachadi Jamuna Tira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Jaya Madhava Kunjabi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari. Jasodhanandana Brajajanandana Jasodhanandana Brajajanandana Jamunatira Vanachadi Jamunatira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Jayo Vishnupada Paramahamsa Srimad His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Gaur Pimanandi. Okay. We have been discussing Canto 10, Chapter 8, Srimad Bhagavatam, and a little background. just to get us up to speed for this, the discussion this evening. Krishna's birth has taken place. His in this chapter, the name-giving ceremony occurs, but the name-giving ceremony occurs after two demons are killed. So chapter 8 includes Putana, or previous chapter, Putana, Shakatasura. Nanda Maharaj goes to Mathura to pay his taxes. While he's in Mathura, he sees Gargamuni. He requests Gargamuni to preside over the name-giving ceremony. It's done in a cowshed. There's 8 important verses where he's declaring who is Krishna. That gets celebrated throughout all of Vraja after. Everyone seems to know what Gargamuni said. We find that out as we go along. And then Nanda goes back to Braja. And they have a big festival celebrating because the name-giving ceremony was done privately on purpose, because they didn't want to alert Kamsa that Gargamuni is the celebrated astrologer for the royal family. So if Gargamuni presided over the name-giving ceremony, he would put 2 and 2 together and come up with 4. This is that 8th child of Vasudeva and Devaki. So they did it privately. And then celebration back in Braja. And then we hear 8 or 9 verses, the infancy of Krishna, his crawling with his knees and hands with Balaram. It's just very cute. I mean, it's just like adorable picture of little childhood behavior. Zigzagging because they don't go in a straight line. And Krishna finding calves reclining in the field, and he would pull on the tail of the calf, and the calf would become startled and stand up and start running, and Krishna would hold on to the tail of the calf. The calf would drag him here and there, and then some of the gopis would laugh, some would clap, some would be startled, some would be fearful for his safety. In other words, different emotions were being aroused because of their love for Krishna. His interactions with the cowherd men, just after a very short time, he was precocious. He started walking. And then as he was walking through Braja, the cowherd men would see him and just be stunned with the intensity of their affection for Krishna, even more than their sons. So he was the delight of all of the residents of Braja, in other words. And then his naughty pastimes, his stealing butter pastimes, celebrated, Makhanchor pastimes in different ways, is described. And then the ladies, the wives of the cowherds would come to Yasoda and laughingly complain, lovingly complain. Wasn't like, put your son in prison. But so they would describe the various ways without reviewing everything. But it was, the emphasis was their love, and he wasn't interested in just having butter. He was delighting in stealing, because they would say, "Well, we offer him butter. Take as much butter as you like," but he refuses because he wants to steal. and on and on, on and on and on. There's many. And the indication from our acharyas was that Krishna wanted that Mother Jasoda, part of his love for her and her love for him, was that she would admonish him, not like hit him, but, take the superior role and not just the affectionate mother, and correct him. He wanted, and she didn't. So he did something so that she would, and that was the pastime of eating dirt. So he's still in Gokul. He's less than 3 years old, and with his cowherd boyfriends, the pastime where they accuse him of eating dirt. And Mother Jasoda confronts him and said, I have so many sweetmeats in our house, and you've had so many, and why are you going to a private place and eating dirt? Please explain. And Krishna says, they're lying. I haven't eaten dirt. And she says, well, they're not enemies, they're your friends. And there's Balaram, he's your elder brother, and he wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. So Krishna says defiantly, you can look inside my mouth and see. Our acharyas describe several things. Krishna, one of the features of Krishna is he has unlimited and inconceivable potencies. Satya, Sankalpa, Shakti. So he just desires something. He doesn't even have to desire something. They anticipate this would be pleasing to him, and his internal potency just start doing things. They're always waiting for the opportunity to serve Krishna, his unlimited and inconceivable potencies. So, knowing that he wanted to enhance the motherly affection of Yashoda by a secondary rasa of astonishment, he showed a universal form. There's details of what was seen. And then the next, this was where we are now. She's considering, what did I just see? And she goes through 4 different possibilities. It's just a dream. And then she considers, no, my eyes are wide awake, I'm not dreaming. Then maybe it's Devamaya, but no, because I'm just an insignificant person. Why would the demigods even bother making some kind of illusion for me? It's cuckoo clock. Cuckoo clock, yeah.
7 o'clock.
Yeah, 7 of them. Okay. Pleasant sound. So it's not sleep. I don't have any things in the corner of my eyes, and my eyes are wide open. So it's not. This was just a dream, and it's not Devamaya. It's not the demigods. I'm too insignificant for the demigods to waste their time and make some illusion. Maybe I'm crazy, but no, I'm not. My thinking process is quite stable and steady, and then she comes to the final conclusion that it must be what Gargamuni said, that Krishna, this boy, this is in the name-giving ceremony, he is invested with powers of Narayan. And with these powers of Narayan, he'll do wonderful things. He'll always give protection to the residents of Braja, so take good care of him. So it must be the mercy of Narayan. And then there's sometimes, we're going to read, she may even be thinking that he is Narayan, but that's kind of contrary to the mood of the residents of Braja. But let's see what it says. That's the wrong folder. Okay. Text 41. Since she thinks it's Narayan who has been able to do this, she's praying to Narayan, because Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda, their worshipable deity is Narayan. So she's offering prayers to him. Let me surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offer my obeisances unto him, who is beyond the conception of human speculation, the mind, activities, words, and arguments, who is the original cause of this cosmic manifestation, by whom the entire cosmos is maintained, and by whom we can even conceive of its existence. Let me simply offer my obeisances, for he is beyond my contemplation, speculation, and meditation. He is beyond all of my material activities. It's a very nice purport. This is Prabhupada has written. He made commentary up to chapter 13 of 10th canto, and that was the final chapter. He commented and he left this world. So here's his commentary. One simply has to realize the greatness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should not try to understand him by any material means, subtle or gross. Mother Yashoda, being a simple woman, could not find out the real cause of the vision. Therefore, out of maternal affection, she simply offered obeisances to the Supreme Lord to protect her child. She could do nothing but offer obeisances to the Lord. In Mahabharata, Bhishma Parva, it is said, Achintya kalu ye bhava natangs tarkena yojayet. One should not try to understand the supreme cause by argument or reasoning. When we are beset by some problem for which we can find no solution nor reason, there is no alternative than to surrender to the Supreme Lord and offer him our respectful obeisances. Then our position will be secure. This was the means adopted in this instance also by Mother Yashoda. Whatever happens, the original cause is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sarva Karana Karanam. When the immediate cause cannot be ascertained, let us simply offer obeisances at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Mother Yashoda concluded that the wonderful things she saw within the mouth of her child were due to the Supreme Lord, although she could not clearly ascertain the cause. Therefore, when a devotee cannot ascertain the cause of suffering, he concludes, this is from Brahma's Prayers, chapter 14 of Canto 10, Tate nukampam susamikshamano bhanjana evat makritam vipakam ridvagvapurbir vididham namaste jivetayo mukti pade swadaya bhak. The devotee accepts it, that it is due to his own past misdeeds that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has caused him some small amount of suffering. Thus, he offers obeisances to the Lord again and again. Such a devotee is called Mukti Pade Sa Dayabhak. That is, he is guaranteed liberation from this material world. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 2:14, Matra sparshastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkada agama payo nityas tang satiksha sabharata. We should know that material suffering due to the material body will come and go. Therefore, we must tolerate the suffering and proceed with discharging our duty as ordained by our spiritual master. That's Prabhupada's purport. So what I've been doing is I've been reading our Acharya's commentaries in addition. This is from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, where he writes, rejecting the last reason on seeing her son's hunger. The last reason was he may be God, but he can't be God because he's just a little boy. She's seen her son's hunger, his thirst, his naughtiness, his innocence, and not being able to come to any conclusion. She offered respects to the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the real cause of all things, which are beyond all argument, for her son's welfare. Quote, he is the shelter of the visible universe, yad ashraya. He gives rise to the universe. He is the visible cause of the universe. He cannot be understood by persons like me. I pay my respects to his lotus feet with intelligence, mind, actions, and words. May he please take away all disturbances from my child. So Vishwanath is presenting like this. All these prayers, the elements, the parts of the prayer, are seeking the Lord's protection, invoking his divinity and seeking the protection of her child. That's her motherly affection. Jiva Goswami writes, but it was not possible that her son had remarkable powers because she saw that he had hunger, thirst, and a tender body like any normal child. Not able to determine the truth by more speculation, she decided that the cause of her vision was Narayana, who produced the most inexplicable. Concluding that Narayana is beyond understanding, she offers her respects. Narayana cannot be understood by consciousness, mind, good karma, or material actions, but by surrender to him, by that sadhana, and because of that, he is easily realized. I offer respects to his lotus feet, which cannot be understood because he is by nature full of inconceivable powers. And finally, this is Sanatana Goswami's commentary. Taking shelter of the last option, the last option is divinity. So it's sleep, it's a dream in my sleep. It's Devamaya, it's an apparition or illusion being created by the demigods. I've gone mad, or it's some divine potency. So here Sanatana is saying that she's thinking that he must be Narayan. Taking shelter of the last opinion, she determined that he was the Lord. Giving up the conception of him as her son, she offered respects with devotion. She speaks of his greatness, considering his desire and Shakti, and seeing directly, suddenly, all together, the universe with cause and effect not normally seen. Or, considering the options she could not decide and became confused, she then offered respects to Lord Narayan. So, two possible readings of what she has said. The last paragraph. The Lord is not understood by logic, by the mind, by results of karma, austerity, or physical actions, but he is easily realized in truth by sadhana, on taking shelter of him, because of him, that is, he shows his mercy. I offer respects to his lotus feet, more inconceivable than the universe, by being simultaneously visible and invisible, with qualities and without qualities. Hare Krishna. So, we just completed reading, first summarizing Canto 10, Chapter 8, up to this verse. We just read verse 41. And verse 41 is after Yashoda has seen inside Krishna's mouth the entire universe, with details and details and details mentioned in one of the verses, including seeing inside Krishna's mouth, Mother Yasoda looking inside Krishna's mouth. Inside Krishna's mouth. She saw that. And that means she not just only saw that, she saw Nanda, she saw Vraja, because everything is within the source of everything. That's very logical. It wouldn't be sensible otherwise. Whatever it is that's the source of everything, within that source of everything is everything. And from that everything comes everything. So within Krishna, is just like within the body of Mahavishnu, during the time of cosmic annihilation, all the living entities are within him. And there's material nature, but it's not in its manifest state, it's in its unmanifest state, but fully under his control. And then, voila, he expands the universes, and life comes, the living entities get life forms, and so forth. But all of those are just his potencies, and in one sense it's a lila, it's just a pastime of expanding his potencies in this way, and then maintaining them, and from time to time he enters within that universe, or the universes, as avatars or forms of the Lord appearing in the world, performs some pastimes, gives some teachings, protects the devotees, annihilates the miscreants, and returns to the spiritual world. And then the whole of the material world is withdrawn. Now, all of those things are described in great detail. I don't know of any other literature that has such detail on how the how cosmic manifestation unfolds. I don't know of any. I mean, theology says God is almighty and he creates. But what are those various potencies, the names of those potencies, and how this potency interact with that potency, and how the whole thing unfolds? That's Sankhya philosophy. Just a little sharing, it's not on the topic of Mother Yasoda seeing inside Krishna's mouth. That there's the Bhaktivedanta Institute. You familiar with that? You've heard of it? Bhaktivedanta Institute? There's a group of scientists, devotees, and they worked together under the banner of Bhaktivedanta Institute. So they had developed a friendship. They had cultivated a relationship with a Nobel laureate physics professor in Berkeley. And they requested him, and he accepted their request, to take a little sabbatical from his teaching assignment and spend a month and a half in Bombay at the Juhu Temple studying Sankhya philosophy by Kapila Dev. Chapter 26, Canto 3. And the request was, is there anything written here that would be falsifiable? That's a scientific term. By anything that you're aware of in the field of modern science, empiric science today. And the man was very intense. He was up before the devotees, and he didn't attend Mangalarti, but his room was, from a balcony of his room, he could look down into the temple room and see Mangalarti and the devotees dancing and the deities. And he was up early and all day long, just like doing what scholars do. He was doing his scholarly thing, pouring through Sankhya philosophy and Prabhupada's Bhaktivedanta purports. And the conclusion of that month and a half, he wrote a paper with his findings, and essentially there's nothing he could find that would establish it can't be. It doesn't prove it is, but it's not falsifiable from his perspective, at least as a Nobel laureate scientist. It's very intricate and very complicated. I've read it many times. I think I can explain it reasonably well, but it's the basis of yet another very mysterious section of the Bhagavatam, namely the fifth canto, the universal form or Vedic cosmology, the structure of the universe. Because it's all based upon the elements and how the elements combine together and make things. That's what Vishnu does, and then Brahma comes along and takes what Vishnu does and builds the universe. And that's Canto 5, of what the universe structure is like. Very fascinating, very mysterious. And that's what Mother Jasoda saw inside the mouth of Krishna. Now, she's not Lord Kapila Dev, or she's not Professor Henry Stapp. She's not a Nobel laureate scientist. But she's a simple Vaishnavi. But she has been given an opportunity by Krishna to see the universal form. I mean, doesn't say Virat Rupa, doesn't use that language anywhere in that text, but all the elements of what she saw are the elements of the universe. And so the verse that we read this just now, just a little review, is she was processing what she just experienced. Well, that was yesterday's verse. She was processing, am I asleep and dreaming? And then she rules that out. My eyes are open. I don't have anything in my corner. I'm not sleeping. I'm wide awake. Maybe it's an apparition of the demigods, Deva Maya. And I'm too insignificant of a person for the demigods to do anything with me. So why would it be that? So he rules that out. Then the third one she considers, maybe I'm just deranged. But no, my mental processes are quite normal. I'm thinking very clearly. So that's not it. That's only one thing left. This is some special potency of Narayan. because Gargamuni had said in the name-giving ceremony that Narayana will have invested he'll have potencies like Narayana. Or Narayana will have invested potencies in him. So it's Narayan's potencies that did this, that are within my son. So then what we just read was her prayer, because she's a pure devotee. She's a perfected being. And her reasoning process isn't figuring it out. What happened? What was this? So she knows what's behind everything. What's behind everything is the source of everything. She's not accepting that her son is the source of everything because she has maternal affection like anything. The major lesson with the prema in Braja is the intensity of their loving affection, madhurya, is so strong, it overwhelms his majesty. He may show majesty, he lifting Govardhan Hill, etc., etc. He shows his majesty. But their love and affection is so strong, they can't see it. It's covered by their love. The majesty aspect of him. No, we're not there. Something that's very helpful for us is to understand the majesty of the source of everything. And that's what general theology is made up of, God Almighty. And, different religions expressed it in different ways, but the all-powerful Supreme. We're dependent upon Him. We go to Him. We offer our prayer and our worship and praise and songs and so forth, and dedicate our lives to and appeal for His mercy upon us. That's common theology. The residents of Vrindavan have gone beyond that. It's not like they don't have any understanding of His divinity, but their love is so strong, it just overwhelms that sense of His divinity. And it's exactly what's happening here with Mother Yasoda. There's many, many, many verses that have been quoted by our acharyas in their commentary, appreciating. Here's one: the devotees, exalted devotees, appreciating the love of Nanda and Yasoda. We just read it yesterday. Uddhava. Vasudeva is Krishna's father, and Devaki is Arjuna's mother, and Vasudeva and Devaki are brother and sister, so that means they're first cousins, Krishna and Arjuna. But in Harivangsha it states that Vasudeva also had a brother, and Vasudev's brother was Uddhava's father, so they're also first cousins. And outside of Vrindavan, Uddhava was most intimately associated with Krishna. He would advise Krishna, and Krishna would take his advice. It was that kind of a relationship. Not like Krishna needed advice. It was a relationship. And a very, very profound, loving relationship where Uddhava was so wise. So there's this situation described that when Krishna had gone to Mathura to kill Kamsa and the other wrestlers and so forth and so on, and to free Vasudeva and Devaki from the prison of Kamsa, and Ugrasena is installed on the throne because Kamsa was Ugrasena's son, and Kamsa imprisoned his father and took over the throne. So when Kamsa was killed, Ugrasena became enthroned as the king again. So Krishna's in Mathura, And Krishna has duties to kill demons, and that in that part of his mood. And he's thinking, if I go back to Braja, there's still so many demons, they'll know that I have affection for the residents of Braja, and they'll start harassing and terrorizing the residents of Braja, so I can't go back. It'll harm the Vrajvasis. But I know what they're feeling, and I'm feeling the same thing. So who's the right person to help pacify their hearts? And as he was thinking that thought, Uddhava came and said, "You're the one." So he wrote a note to the gopis, and Uddhava carried the note to the gopis. He went to Braja on Krishna's behalf. But before he went to see the gopis, he went to see Nanda and Yasoda. And when he reached the home, the palace of Nanda and Yasoda, he was amazed that Nanda was just standing at the window, looking out, silent, waiting for Krishna to come, because Krishna said he would come. And Mother Yasoda was in the kitchen, and she was just crying and crying and crying. She couldn't see because her tears, she had been crying so profusely, she couldn't even see. And then he spoke with Nanda. And Nanda was asking, will Krishna come back? Does he even think about us, the residents of Vrindavan, and the cows, and his dear friends, and all of his associates? Does he remember his mother and father? Oh, he's like... And Uddhava's awed by the intensity of the love of Yasoda and Nanda. And he starts expressing what he understands. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are so fortunate to have the personality of Godhead as your son. And Nanda just doesn't even relate to that. He just goes on speaking about his beloved son, because he's so immersed in that mood of love as a father and Yasoda as mother. They can't see his divinity, and they see it, they hear it, and it doesn't go in because of the strength. Now there's other places where she's considering he's empowered by the powers of Narayan, but she can't think of him as anything other than her beloved son. It's a glory of Mother Yasoda. It's a glory of the residents of Braja. I'll just add one more thing. It's easy to speak on and on about Krishna. In Queen Kunti's prayers, this is Canto 1, Chapter 8, very celebrated prayers of Queen Kunti. Queen Kunti is also in a relationship with Krishna like mother. She's the mother of the Pandavas, and Kunti is the sister of Vasudeva. So she has that parental rapport or relationship. So Krishna treats her that way as mother, and she finds it very uncomfortable when Krishna comes and offers his respect by touching her feet and folding his palms before her, because she sees him as the supersoul moving amongst us. That's her understanding. And, many things are in her prayers, but one of the things specifically is her regard for Mother Yashoda. She's speaking to Krishna saying, I don't understand the love of Mother Yasoda, because you, who are feared by fear personified, when you see the little stick in Mother Yasoda's hand, you're feeling fear. And it's not play acting. You cry, not because, oh, I'm supposed to cry because she's thinking I'm her son, so I'll cry. But you're feeling fear. It's bewildering to me. What kind of love does Mother Yasoda have? You're controlled by her love. And that's the whole Damodar Leela. She's binding Krishna not with rope, but with her love. Because when she tries to do it just with rope, it doesn't work. More rope, and it doesn't work. More rope, and it doesn't work. But when he withdraws his Satya Sankalpa Shakti and exhibits instead his Kripa Shakti, she can bind him. Because she's bound by the love of Mother Yasoda. We say it's the Damodar Leela is a Yasoda Damodar Leela. Very special. She's a very special personality. So when she sees the universe in its fullness, in Krishna's mouth, she's seeing everything is within Krishna. At the same time, everything is outside Krishna, which is double talk. But it's the nature of the source of everything. It must be. It's contradictory in one sense, but it must be in the other sense. Everything is within him. Is there something that exists that's not within him? Prabhupada says it this way: there's two things. There's Krishna and there's Krishnas. There's not a third thing. There's no void in the creation of God. Because if there's a void, then there's something that's not from Krishna, but no such thing. So it's within him and it's outside of him. At the same time, he's bigger than the biggest and smaller than the smallest at the same time. Not just elastic, and he can go big and small. Simultaneously, he's both. And most importantly, out of all of his qualities, is his kindness, his loving nature, bhaktavatsala quality. This comes out again and again in these stories, these leelas of Krishna's pastimes. He's using his potencies to expand and variegate the loving exchanges that he has with his devotees. I'll say one other thing, and then we'll see if there's some discussion. From 2 verses ago, there was an explanation given of the primary and secondary rasas. This is a teaching of Lord Chaitanya and Rupa Goswami that says, in relation to God as well as in this world, there's 5 primary relationships with subdivisions. So the first of them is majesty, the opulence, the bhagas of Bhagavan are displayed, and it's awesome. So awe and veneration towards God. Awe and veneration. Then God is so great, let me do something for him. That's service. That's the second, dasya rasa. So shanta rasa, dasya rasa. When service becomes more and more intimate, just like, sometimes people have a maid or a servant that helps them in their home duties or even lives in the home, or a chauffeur that just regularly drives a VIP personality around. After some time, the relationship becomes like family. That they have a function, it's service, but they become like family. So they become like friend. And then, like Arjuna was Krishna's friend. He's his bhakta, but he's his Sakha. Bhaktosi me Sakha cheti. Then another rasa is paternal, where you look after someone under your care. It can be like an older brother, younger brother, but it's like that's the kind of affection. Like Balaram had towards Krishna sometimes, the older brother affection. And then conjugal love, like the queens in Dwarka and so forth. So these 5 primary rasas: neutrality, servitorship, friendship, parental affection, conjugal love. 5 primary rasas. And then there's 7 secondary rasas, and secondary rasas, it's like a tsunami. It sometimes just completely covers over the primary rasa. But the primary rasa is there. It just enhances it. And in this case, it's astonishment. It's one of the 7 secondary rasas. She's seeing the universe inside her son's mouth. I mean, imagine, those of you that are mothers, look inside your son's mouth and you see the whole universe. What are you going to do if you see that? So she's astonished. She's given eyes to see, but also the potencies are there to display what she is seeing. So the purpose, one of the purposes, is to strengthen her motherly affection by astonishment. And it works. She's just like praying to Narayan for the well-being and protection and safety of her son. It's kind of illogical, because if he has all these potencies, what does he need protection? It's just a motherly affection. It's like Devaki, when Krishna appeared in the prison house of Kamsa, Vasudeva offered his prayers, Devaki offered her prayers, and then at the end she prayed, can you assume a childlike form? Because that's maternal affection, but it's very illogical. If Kamsa knows the 8th child is born, he's going to come and try to kill you. She's showing, he's Vasudeva with the symbols of Vishnu in his hand. Who's going to harm him? It's not rational. It's quite motherly. Please assume a childlike form. Then maybe we can hide you or something. So he assumes a childlike form to reciprocate with her love, her motherly affection. It's the nature of Krishna. He loves his devotees according to their love for him. He reciprocates according to their love for him. And it's not only true for those devotees, it's true for us devotees. According to our love for him, he reciprocates. Love can be stronger, love can be weaker, it can be like this, or it can be of this variety, that variety. But that's reality with a capital R. We have an eternal relationship with him, and according to our regard for him, he reciprocates. All of it. He says right in Bhagavad Gita, Ye tamam prapadyante tang sadaiva bhajamyaham. As they surrender unto me, I reciprocate. So it's not only for Devaki or for Yashoda, it's for us. As we have regard for him, he reciprocates. It's quite natural. Okay. So let's see if there's some discussion. Any comments or thoughts or anything? The way that we've been doing this is the people that are attending the discussion discuss first, and then we have some online questions, yeah? Okay. So, you have something. Do you have a portable microphone or no?
We'll have it tomorrow.
Okay. Okay.
My question is, you mentioned that devotees need to see tough situations as like mercy of Krishna. It's reduced in effect. But at the same time, being a new or kind of a practicing devotee, are we at that level where Krishna is reducing our problems, or is it because of our misgivings and immaturity in performing our duty? What do you understand?
Yeah, we read in the purport before you came in. Prabhupada was quoting a verse from Brahma's Prayers, chapter 14, a celebrated prayer, Tat Tenu Kampam Su Samikshimano, etc., where he stole the calves and cowherd boys. He made a big boo-boo. He knows he's going to get spanked. He knows he's going to get some, reaction for his wrongdoing. But so the prayer says, when you're due to get a reaction for some wrongdoing, accept whatever that is as a response for your wrongdoing. When hardship comes, accept it as it's coming from the source of all things. But let your mind not budge an inch from the position of taking shelter of the personality of Godhead. And if you do that, you're certain to receive liberation. Just with that fixed faith. So now his question is, and Prabhupada quotes that in this purport, and explains it. So the answer is yes. Provided we're within the internal potency. The internal potency means striving to improve our lives in devotion to the Supreme. Provided, then that's the case. That is the internal potency at work. I think I've shared this before here, but if not, there's a Brahma Samhita verse that begins Yas Twindra Gopam Atavendra Mahos for Karma, that verse, where Govinda gives the karma to all living entities from all the way from Indra down to the tiniest Indra Gopa germ, according to their past deeds. And then separately, for those who are engaged in his service, he does something else. That's the internal potency. And that something else is, if there's some difficulty, it's not past karma, but it's the Supreme Lord very affectionately, kindly removing the root of their involvement in fruitive activities. Over here is the fruitive activities people, or living entities, and those that are striving to overcome fruitive material tendencies and replace it with a devotional tendency, Krishna removes, which may feel like, some calamity or some misfortune. But is Krishna taking away this ignorance? And Bhaktisiddhanta's words are ignorance and dark desires. He's cleansing us. That's the internal potency. So the answer to your question is, yes, it also applies to us. Now, if we stray, then it's back to the material energy giving us our deserve. But if we stay on the path of bhakti, and that means striving, not to have to be a perfected person, but striving on that path of bhakti, we're getting special mercy in the form of purification when something comes. And a person of any religion will understand like that. The mercy of God has come in this way.
There is a question from Sri Gautam Prabhu. Is there any underlying reason for Krishna to show the universal form in his mouth? we can simply show mud to Yashoda.
Yeah. He did show it in other ways. Before Brahma, he showed it in front of him. Before Arjuna, he showed it in front of him on the battlefield. When Krishna went on the peace mission to Hastinapur, he showed a partial manifestation of the universal form, and the whole assembly saw. But specific for Mother Yashoda, she's mother. She didn't reprimand him for his butter thief activity, but she did reprimand him for eating dirt, because if he eats dirt, he could get sick, and she doesn't want to get sick. Mothers don't want their kids to get sick, so she was going to get on his case, which is what he wanted. So to do that, he has to look inside her mouth. She has to look inside his mouth. So, yeah, I didn't eat dirt. The whole universe is there. It's just part of the flow of activities. Yes, he could have shown it outside, but it would fit in with, did you eat dirt? So he showed the universe within his mouth. Very practical. Anything else online?
That's all the question.
Okay. If there's more discussion in the room, then more questions will come online.
Right.
Anything? Yeah, go ahead.
What do we see Yashoda finally giving into her parental affection and awe and reverence? That side of her wins, right? So is that because parental is higher in priority in the primary races?
I'm not sure what your question is.
Highest, as far as
I understand the rasa part. What's the other part?
So Yashoda, she goes into the awe and reverence more also. She initially gets this surprise, the secondary rasa, she's struck by wonder by seeing.
Well, she's not in an on reverence position exactly. It's not, she goes to on reverence. That's not what happens. She goes to, wow, what was that? That's where she goes to. Am I dreaming? Am I mad? It's not on veneration. It's astonishment. It's different. Another example of astonishment, there's a whole chapter after Krishna lifts Govardhan Hill. The Krishna book has been titled Wonderful Krishna. And it's, after the cowherd, after Govardhan Hill is placed down and everybody goes about their business, the next day the cowherd men get together and say, wait a minute. Because when it's happening, they're just thrilled to be with Krishna. This is what's described by our acharyas. And then, after you have a thrill, you may think about, what was that all about? So they start to consider, he's not one of us. Who is he? And then they start to think about all of his wonderful things and wonderful things and wonderful things and wonderful things and wonderful things. Who is he? So they go to Nanda Maharaj. Who is he? You're our leader. We have all faith and trust and confidence in you. Tell us, who is he? And then he says what Gargamuni says. And his take on what Gargamuni says was, he's one of us. He supports their affection as like fathers to a son, because that's what they feel towards Krishna. But he has special powers from Narayan. So we're very fortunate. Let's have a festival. And there's other pastimes like that. I'll mention one. Nanda is taken by Varuna's agents. Krishna goes to where he is. And Varuna worships him right in front of Nanda Maharaj. Varuna and his associates, they worship Krishna. And they who have opulence, like it's not of this world, it's a heavenly opulence. They who have such opulence, they're worshiping Krishna. So he goes back and tells the Brajvasis, you know what happened? You know, the opulence, and that's one kind of amazement, and the other is they're worshiping, he was being worshipped. And you know, Varuna's way up there. Brahma and Indra, and you know, right behind Indra is Varuna. He's very special amongst the demigods. So they then get into this consideration. Maybe he's not just empowered by the powers of Narayan. Maybe he's the personality of Godhead. And if he's the personality of Godhead, is he going to show us his eternal abode? Because they think of themselves as ordinary people, you know, wandering through karma, you know, higher species, lower species, and this and that. But if he's God, is he going to show us his eternal kingdom? They're just feeling like that and thinking like that. So, and Krishna knows, because he knows everything. So he takes them to the same place where Krura saw what he saw, and shows them the Goloka, the eternal spiritual world. And they see themselves there along with Krishna in Goloka, being praised by the personified Vedas. And then the curtain closes and they forget everything. That's how Yogamaya works. Because their parental affection, or their the sweetness of their affection is so strong, they forget. Just like, you know, in reverse, we may have some, you know, really intense spiritual experience. And then, you know, we get covered again and forget. We don't even remember so clearly what that experience was, what to speak of not continuing with that experience. That's how Mahamaya works. And Yogamaya works to also cover one with forgetfulness of Krishna's divinity. Now, in Vaikuntha it's different, but in Vrindavan that's what it's like. So, does that address your question?
There are two more questions on that.
Okay.
One question, devotee name unknown. We know Krishna's name is non-different from him. So can the residents of Vrindavan get the same pleasure from chanting his name as they do from his personal association?
Well, yeah. And they do chant his name, and they do get his personal association. They don't like pick and choose. They do both.
Next question, Maharaj. This is from Archana Vaidya Mataji. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. In Arjuna's case, he desires to see the universal form. What are the reasons that Krishna shows it to Duryodhana and Mother Yashoda in different pastimes?
It's just his mercy. He's showing mercy to, I explained, he wants to increase her overabundant parental affection by the mood of astonishment. It increases her parental affection. That's why he showed Mother Yashoda. And Duryodhana, it was, you know, Duryodhana was getting ready to attack. There was the story, he had the plan. Then when Krishna, we'll all jump Krishna and destroy him. And when we all get together, gang up and destroy Krishna, the Pandavas will be weakened and everything will be finished with the Pandavas if Krishna is destroyed. That was the plan. So Krishna knew the plan. And he just, so there wouldn't be bloodshed right there in the Royal Assembly, he did what he did, and everything stopped. And Krishna left. It was just mercy to allow, the Kurukshetra battle, which is something he wanted, because he appeared in this world to relieve the earth of demoniac kings, and that would be accomplished by the Kurukshetra battle, and that's how he wanted it. It's part of his bigger plan. Yeah.
So Duryodhana also he forgets because he's overpowered by his own Maya.
Yes, by Mahamaya, by his envy of the Pandavas. His envy of the Pandavas is the byproduct of his envy of Krishna, because the Pandavas are connected to Krishna. His envy of the Pandavas. When Krishna came and offered a peace settlement, the answer was, I can't live on the same planet with these. It's them or me. There's got to be war. So, it's not verbatim what he said, but that was the essence of his response. So it's not that Krishna didn't know ahead of time, but that was his response. So his envy of the Pandavas is his envy of Krishna. There's this nice description when Krishna volunteers on behalf of the Pandavas, of the Yadu dynasty, to go make a peace settlement. He comes with an assembly. So he gets to the precincts, the outer region of Hastinapur, and very detailed arrangements have been made by Duryodhana, banana trees and decorations and scented water and festoons and bards and musicians, and he goes to the edge of the city to receive him. And then he speaks, my dear cousin, what great fortune it is that you have come. You must have come with some important mission. So please come to my home and have a meal so you can be refreshed, so we can discuss nicely. And very bluntly, Krishna says, a man may eat for one of two reasons. One is he's hungry, or even if not hungry, he may eat just because of love. But I'm not hungry, and there's no love. He says specifically, the animosity that you have towards the Pandavas is animosity towards me. In fact, there's no place in the whole of Hastinapur that would be a suitable place for me to receive my meal out of love, except for one place, Vidura's place. So he goes to Vidura's place, and you know the story. Vidura's wife gets so excited she doesn't even know what she's doing, and gives him something, yeah. And Krishna eats it because it's offered with love. So he doesn't need opulence or anything. It says he's attracted by love. So now back to your question, Duryodhana is the opposite of love. It was animosity towards the Pandavas. Big time. He couldn't stand it from the get-go, from when they came back from the forest. He couldn't stand it. Tried to eat so many. So therefore he couldn't see Krishna. Even when he saw the partial universal form, he has some mystic powers, big deal.
One more question, Maharaj. This is from Rupa Raghunanda. So when Yashoda is astonished, is it a pleasant experience or a scary one?
Well, it seems to be something of a scary one, at least a bewildered one. Now, generally when we get bewildered, it's not pleasant. But in her case, she knows immediately where to go. She goes to Narayan and offers prayers to Narayan because he's behind everything that we don't understand. And he's my well-wisher, and he's my protector, and he's my dearmost friend. That's the mood of a surrendered person to the personality of Godhead, to Bhagavan. So it's not exactly a pleasant astonishment, it's the other kind. And her thought goes, please protect my son. Motherly instinct. Okay. So we're done? Anything else? Okay, that's from you. I'm looking around the room.
Actually, I have a question.
Huh?
Now, by reading Bhagavad Gita about this universal form, I can visualize everything.
Good for you, I can't.
And how can I really experience it now?
If only experience is only possible if Krishna allows it to be experienced. And I don't think you should be eager to try to experience the universal form. Be eager to experience whatever Krishna wants you to experience. I mean, specifically, Prabhupada has said so many times, Arjuna asks this question. I mean, he asked at the end, please withdraw it because it's too frightening. But he asked so that persons in the future may say, I'm God. Then the simple arrangement is, please show me your universal form if you're God. So it was for that purpose. So don't make that your purpose. Okay, so I guess anything? You look happy. Any thoughts you want to share about all of this?
I don't have anything to share.
Okay. What's your favorite pastime of Krishna?
I always like the story of that the one who just like little bit explained about the Krishna and Mother Yashoda, like she was trying to
Bind
the love of
the Damodar Leela.
the mother love. That's my favorite.
I'll share something with you. One of our devotees is from Kerala, a married woman, is born and raised in Kerala, did her education in America, got married, and became involved in Krishna consciousness. And she knew that her mother really liked reading Srimad Bhagavatam. From when she was a little girl, she read Srimad Bhagavatam in her native tongue. So she gave it a copy of Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita in her mother's native tongue. No, Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam. And so when she went to visit, she found her mother just reading Prabhupada's Bhagavatam like she used to read the other Bhagavatam version that she read her whole life. And her mother said, although I read my whole life, I never understood it. I was attracted, but never understood it. And now I'm understanding it. And it's so much more relishable. So even that pastime, read what our acharyas have to say about that pastime, and it's just astounding. It's sweet. The loving exchange between Krishna and Mother Jasoda is very sweet. And the detail of it, the explanation behind it, is astounding. It's wonderful. It makes it even more sweet. Because that's what Krishna's doing. He's exchanging love like a little boy. And he's feeling those little boy feelings, although he's the Supreme Lord. One of the things I like in that pastime is as soon as he's bound, there's other cowherd boys that are there. Because when he draws the mortar and knocks over the twin Arjun trees, the boys tell the adults later what happened. They're there. But he's thinking, I have to uphold the word of Narada Muni. Because Narada Muni is my dear devotee. So Narada Muni said, you'll be delivered by Krishna. You'll become trees in the courtyard of Nanda, and Krishna will deliver you. So I have to uphold the word of my devotee. It's like, Ram upholding the word of Dasarath. But, he's feeling the feelings of a small child, and instantly he's going, I have to uphold the words of Narada. His divinity is very fluid. It's his loving nature. That's the thing I like. It's his loving nature. And, because the love of Mother Yasoda is so special, the pastime with Mother Yasoda is so special. But his love for Narada is also very special. And he just moves to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. It's just loving exchanges with his loving devotees according to their nature. That's who he is. And that's why we love him, because he's so lovable. we want to serve him. We want to be with him. Okay. Thank you very much. Prabhupada ki Jai.